Hey guys, Lancy here. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks again for joining me while we look into some more commander decks from Strixhaven. Now, what I really want to do is, after I noticed some of these cards in Strixhaven, I was like, isn't this very similar to the Breya commander deck? So I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison along with checking out what the cards are that come with it. So obviously we have Oskia, the Reconstructor, the commander of this deck. He is a legendary creature, giant artificer, and he's a 4/4 for two colorless, one red, one white. With vigilance, I mean, pretty decent costing price. Not asking too much, really. He's got pay one, sacrifice an artifact, target creature you control gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Really good in token decks. You can swing with 10 tokens and you can pump up one of them to become a 20/20 plus, a 21 or whatever, and get some damage in that way if you really want to sacrifice them, as long as you have a way to use them later. And pay X, tap, exile an artifact creature with mana value X from your graveyard. Create two tokens that are copies of the exiled card. Activate only as a sorcery. Okay, so you can only do that in your turn. Overall, interesting. Next is Al-Labu, Ancient Witness. Now, what I really like about this card already is it's a legendary artifact creature. He, yeah, I can't be too sure, but three colors, one red, one white for a golem. Other artifact creatures you control have haste. Nice. Whenever one or more artifact creature you control attacks, Albu, Ancient Witness deals X damage to any target, and you scry X, where X is the number of tapped artifacts you control. That feels really good. That feels really, really powerful. Angel of Ruins, five colorless, two white, artifact angel. Flying, when our Angel of Ruins enters the battlefield, exile up to two target artifacts or enchantments. Plane cycling, two colorless. Perfect. Really, really, really good card. Now this is the staple that everyone's been talking about. Archaeomancer's Map, two colors, one white artifact. When Archaeomancer Map enters the battlefield, search your library for up to two basic plane cards. Wheel them and put them into your hand, then shuffle. Whenever land enters the battlefield under your opponent's control, if that a player controls more lands than you may put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. It's a staple. It's a staple in any white deck. It's a staple in any black deck. Oh, sorry, white-black deck. It's a staple in any Boros deck. Um, red, black, white deck. Red, black, white, blue decks. Yeah, it's really, really powerful. I feel like this card is going to be useful in almost any deck that's white and hasn't got green in it, which is still quite a few. I know green is very powerful in Commander, but I think that's still quite powerful. Bronze Guardian. I'm not really a fan of any card that's really over four or five, like around 5 mana. That doesn't have a really strong ability. It does have Ward, which is nice. It's got double strike, and it's equal to the number of artifacts, so that's pretty good. It's hard to remove, so I don't mind this card. It's just you don't normally put these kinds of cards in artifact-centric deck. Jigsaw Engineer, on the other hand, is very nice. Two colors, one white for a creature, dwarf, artificer. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may pay two. If you do, create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token. With this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. Not bad. Really, really good actually. And that's, artifacts can come back to your hand very often, so you can get quite a bit of value out of this creature. Evacuation technique, three colors, one white, demonstrate. When you cast this spell, you may copy it. If you do choose an opponent, who also copies it. Player may choose new targets for their copy. Draw target, non-land permanent, its controller creates two treasure tokens. Do they copy the demonstrate? So can you just cycle this, like just like a mass board removal if you know two people, like if everyone agrees? It's pretty good, but then everyone gets tokens at the end of it, so depends on when they want to stop. I like it. You should be able to get the most amount of value out of a card like this if they come back to you. It's a sorcery, which I don't like actually. Shiel, Clockwork, Scholar, two colors, one white. Legendary creature, Elephant Artificer, 2/4. Prevent all combat damage that will be dealt to attacking artifact creatures you control. Whenever one or more artifact creature enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This ability only triggers once each turn. Pretty good. If you can cast a... Oh, it doesn't say cast. It says enters the battlefield. If you have a way to get artifact creatures onto the battlefield on another person's turn, they had to be creatures, but you can do it. Then, yeah, you can get some value out of this guy. Monologue tax, 2 colors, 1 white. Enchantment, whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, you create a treasure token. Yeah, that can happen. Now this feels broken. 2 colorless, 1 red for a 3/3 Audacious Reshaper, creature human artificer. Tap, sacrifice an artifact. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal an artifact card. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest onto the bottom of your library in a random order. Audacious Reshaper deals damage to you equal to the number of cards revealed this way. Now, let me get this right. If you find a stuffy doll with this card, then it deals X damage to you based on how many cards you dug to find that stuffy doll. Is that not perfect? If this card probably shouldn't belong in an artifact deck, it should probably belong in another deck. I don't know what deck it should belong. It should belong in a deck where you don't have many artifacts. And the only artifact you should have in it is maybe a stuffy doll. So, Audacious Reshaper, click, sacrifice an artifact. Okay, sorry, you have to sacrifice an artifact. So maybe whatever artifacts you have that you can sacrifice for her, maybe it's better to have it in a pirate deck. A pirate deck that creates treasure tokens. You put this card out, tap it to sacrifice a treasure token. You go and look for a stuffy doll. You do X damage to someone else. And then, actually, then you're done. So you better hope that you dug 40 cards to take them out. Or they're just going to be for dealing 1 damage to them. And knowing what you were planning to do. So, yeah. I don't know about that. I'm just an idea. Battle Mage's Bracer, 2 colors, 1 red for an artifact equipment. Equipped creature has haste whenever ability of an equipped activator. If it isn't a mana ability, you may pay 1. If you do copy that ability, you may choose new targets for the copy. Okay, and so I like a lot of these. So I'll just go to the last 2 that I really like. Yeah. Cursed Mirror, 2 colors, 1 red for a artifact. Tap, add red. Rampant red. As Cursed Mirror enters the battlefield, you may have it become a copy of any creature on the battlefield until end of turn, except it has haste. Perfect. Amazing card. It has use when it comes in, because you don't have to worry about tapping it for a red, because most likely you're not going to get enough mana, you just paid for this. And assuming that you can get a decent card, you can play this late or early game and not feel like you're getting a bad deal. Now, the next card is Leah, the Blade Reforged. 2 colorless, 1 red for a 2/2 with haste. Whenever Leah attacks, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. Amazing. Whenever you exile 1 or more cards from your library and or graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on Leah. So she immediately comes in as a 3/3 if you decide to attack with her. It is not a May ability to exile the top card. So you pretty much, if you attack with her, you exile the top card of your library. The May ability is you may play that card this turn. So what you can do is you can attack with her and just swing in. And that's it. Now, one of the more important things is you could win with this card in 1 turn, as long as they don't have any way to stop her from dealing a lot of damage. If you have a way to exile all of the cards in your library in, let's say, a burn deck, or some deck that goes through your library really fast, like a blue-red wheels deck, Leah might be able to get 21 cards out of her library in a wheels deck by just sacrificing an artifact that says exile your graveyard. All those exile triggers goes onto her. She gets 21 +1 counters, swings in, give a trample, done, an instant kill. Okay. Now, outside of that, what I want to do is go through some of these cards. There's a lot of similarities. Got Felden, got Steel Overseer, I mean Pilgrim, the Locket, Commander Sphere. So I just want to have a quick look at this and go. I counted the amount of removals. I think it's got about 12 to 11 to 12 removals. That includes sorcery speeds, um, uh, creature removals. So it also removes like effects like destroy all creatures. So it probably isn't 100% perfect in that idea, but it's still better than a lot of other card things. And it's got a lot of ramp. I think it's got like 8 ramp spells, and it's got some heavy, large mana cost on the back end of it, so it needs it. And it's got probably about 10 card draw. So I really think that this deck is good straight out of the box. Now, what I want to do is I want to compare it to Breya. Now, the good thing is that Breya is really powerful, and there are some pretty powerful cards in this deck. But I also noticed that there were some pretty bad cards in this deck as well. So I think they actually did a better job with the new deck than they did with Breya, as weird as it sounds. I mean, Breya is broken. That's the big part. So Breya itself is a very powerful card, but I feel like a lot of other cards in this deck were not as powerful, and it doesn't have that many card draw. It has a few, but nothing crazy. It's got some weird cards in here, like Loxodon Hammer. Like it's just got some really weird cards in here. But obviously, Breya and the idea behind this deck is very, very powerful. It's going to be an expensive deck to pick up at this point, just because of some of these random cards that are in here. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to do a quick comparison. I actually think, in my head, other than the fact that Breya is just so broken, Lorehold Legacies is actually a stronger deck. You guys can let me know if you think that's correct. But if you don't upgrade Breya and you play it against a Lorehold Legacies, I think there's a chance, a pretty good chance, that this one might win straight out of the case over the Breya card, Breya deck. Except, oh man, that target creature gets -4/-4. It's really Breya's Breya's far more broken than Oscar the Reconstructor, sadly. But he's probably far more reasonable. He's good, but he's not like completely busted. Anyways, guys, I just wanted to cover this, and I'll cover Prismatic one as well tomorrow, and we'll see how it goes. Thanks again, and have a good one.